Hey guys, back with another one. Thanks for tuning into X Farmer again for another video. I just want to start off by going on about what we sort of left off from yesterday. I was going on about just getting into your second round and then sort of carry on from that. Today's video is actually going to be about mating season and getting all organised for mating system, what you need to be doing with the cows, what the vets need to be doing, and just getting ready for mating in general, and just what to be prepared for. This is only for people that don't really know what to expect or what they're doing with the mating season, like young farmers. So yeah, I'll just carry on sort of where I sort of left off from, which was, I guess, as you're sort of coming into finishing your first round and then into your second round, it depends on the weather and how the weather has been. Like, obviously this season has been really bad around Southland, New Zealand. It's been really bad. I think it's sort of been quite bad around the world as well. I'm not sure about the North Island of New Zealand though. I don't think it's been as bad, but we've had it really wet. It's been a dud season. The grass hasn't grown, and a lot of people are just trying to poke in a lot of supplement into their cows to just keep the weight on. And they've opened up the cows very quickly on their first round to get to their second round. But I mean, if you have like a wintering barn or something like that, you're normally you're in a good place, and I mean, you can just take the cows off the pasture and not worry about pugging paddocks. But the ones that don't have that freedom, I mean, they're the ones that are really struggling. Like my sister and brother-in-law, actually, they have a wintering barn, and now they've actually done okay through all of this. But the people that don't have it, I mean, the stories that I've heard are pretty dire, and there's been a lot of short farms around, and yeah, like it's really tough. And I mean, you'll run into seasons like that, but with what I applied, I mean, I said in yesterday's video as well, you've just got to open up the cows and just go with it. I mean, you're going to finish your first round a fair bit quicker, but at least you know yourself, you finished your first round a fair bit quicker, but you've still kept the weight on the cows, and it's gonna eventually get better, hopefully, and you know that yourself. And you just got to adjust to how the season is. So after you finished your first round, you're going into your second round. Like what I said, like this is on a normal season, you will, like what I said with your residuals, this is how I used to farm. I would always leave residuals of 1650 to 1700 cover. So to a lot of you guys, you think that's high cover, and it's like you're going to lose quality of the grass very quickly. Where I say, well, you can start topping, let's say on the 15th of October or the 20th of October, so you don't run into those problems. So yeah, you top in front of the cows at an early stage, so you don't actually run into any issues of quality of grass. Like, I mean, you can't start obviously topping on the 30th of October when you've left those sort of covers. So, but going back to how the season has been this year in Southland, like where it's been really hard to fully feed the cows, you have to be doing selective topping. I mean, you'll even know yourself with how wet the paddocks are that you're going to leave trenches in your paddock, and it's going to make a right mess. So you just do your selective topping and just make sure the cows are fully fed. I mean, mating is going to be completely different when you're running into a season like this. Like you're not going to have as many numbers as you would like, as compared to like a warmer season. Like, I mean, we are in November at the moment, coming into the end of November, and I mean, we should be getting days where it is really warm, and I mean, that's when you're going to get a lot of cows that are cycling and performing really well with their milk. So I'll just get started on today's video with mating, and what you will sort of the steps you will sort of go through as you get ready, as you get the cows ready, you get the minerals ready, you get the vets out, and you start getting everything ready for mating. So obviously you'll be mowing, the cows will be having toppings where they don't have to do a lot of work with the toppings. With the toppings in the paddock, they just hoover it up. They don't have to use energy, which is a bonus as well. So the first thing you sort of start to do, like what we used to do on the farm, was tail paint. When you got to, let's say, you got to about 80% of cows calved or 90% of cows calved, you'd start tail painting the cows. And that's just tail painting them so you can work out which ones are cycling and which ones aren't cycling. We used to use red tail paint. Every farmer's different. They'll use different colours, but it doesn't matter. It does the same job at the end of the day. And when we'd tail paint the cows that first time, we would give them a jab of B12 and selenium. And that was, the B12 would help with their appetite. It would make them eat more, and it would help with the weight, putting weight on for the cows as well. The selenium was for their reproductive system, so we'd give them the selenium, and that would help as well. So I really advise, once your cows have calved, that you do that. And I mean, the selenium is really good as well when the cows are holding on to afterbirth. That'll help for them to clean out if they're dirty as well. So yeah, we used to do that. You would do red tail paint, and you would work out which ones haven't cycled. And the ones that haven't cycled, you would wait, and you'd go down the line of metra checking the cows. So you would get the vet out, and they would metra check all the cows once all the cows had calved, and what they do is they use a swab. They put it in the cows, and they put it inside the cow's cervix, and they check to see if the cows are dirty. I actually personally don't like metra checking. The reason behind that is, a lot of the time when you have a vet coming out, you will, a lot of the cows aren't actually dirty inside. You might have about 9 or 10 cows. Well, that's sort of what we used to have out of about 570 cows. And once you put a swab inside the cow, it actually plays around with things in there, and it's something that you shouldn't be doing, I don't think. But a lot of farmers still do it, and I'm not speaking against it at all. If that's still what you're told to do by your vets, I would say to do it. But I think doing everything naturally and letting the cow come on herself, like, that is the way to be going about things. So yeah, so you're painting all your cows red, and then you're taking down, normally I look at taking down numbers of cows that are actually cycling. So you sort of know yourself roughly of how many cows are cycling and which ones aren't cycling. So yeah, you get the vet out, they do the metra checking, and they would do metra curing. So it's any cows that are dirty that they find, they will metra cure them. So they'll put in a syringe inside their cervix, and it will help them to clean the cow inside, so she can be ready to start cycling again down the track. So yeah, that's what you would do. But what I mean by not having to metra check your cows is, you shouldn't actually have to. Like, you can start mating, you know all the cows that are cycling. The ones that aren't cycling, you can still give them time, and you will know yourself, once you start AI, that you will have dirty cows. Your AI technician will tell you you have a dirty cow. And by that stage, you can actually leave your cows, metra cure them yourself, and then the bulls can actually catch them. So you're not running into any issues with your metra checking and swabbing inside the cows, like I mentioned, because it can affect things inside the cows. But each to their own. Other farmers are going to have different thoughts on that. Vets are not going to like that either, I don't think, because it's to do with money. So yeah, that is my thoughts on that. But everyone has their different opinions, and I mean, they do things to best suit their farm. So I'm not going to go into, I'm not saying it's right, it's the wrong thing to do, but I personally, if I was to do, was to do it my way, I would do it like that. So yeah, so you would start painting, you'd do your cows painting, and then also after you've done your metra checking and you get your cows metricured, you would, but sort of around that stage as well, before mating, you would get blood samples done from the cows. So the vet will come out, they will put, they take a blood sample from about 10 cows or 12 cows out of your herd, and they actually take a sample underneath the tail fold. So they lift the cow's tail up, and then they take a blood sample from the tail. They send it away to the lab, and they'll work out what your minerals are looking like, so they can adjust to suit which cows are lacking which minerals the cows are lacking. So that is a big thing with mating as well, is getting your minerals right for your cows. Another thing you can add in too with your minerals is iodine, is topping up the iodine for the cows to prepare them for mating. I'm not saying add in a whole lot more iodine, I'm saying just add enough of the cow's requirements per day, because you don't want to overdo it, because what can actually happen if you do that is all of your cows will start coming on heat, and it's actually a false heat the cows are coming on. So you've got to be very, very careful doing that. So just follow what the guidelines are, and even just talk to your vets as well, just to be safe as well. And I also recommend by that stage as well is actually adding in cobalt into the dosatron as well. That'll really get your cows performing and ready to go for mating as well. That's what we used to do on the farm, and the cows started to get a really shiny coat, and they would put the weight on, which is perfect for mating as well. So you will you would get your blood samples done, so that's all ready to go. You've taken down your numbers of the cows that you thought were cycling, you were getting ready. And then with the tail painting and the colours that we use for the cows as we got into mating, was we would always start with red. That was the cycle colour. And then the night before mating, before your AI technician was going to come and start your mating, we would paint the cows all green, so we knew which ones would come on. A lot of farmers would do different colours, it doesn't really matter, but on the farm, what we used to use when I was farming, we used to use tail paint, K-Mars, and even sometimes scratchies. I found that the K-Mars were really, really good. They were good for cows that you miss, which were silent heats. Using the tail paint and the K-Mars and the scratchies, it's the best way to learn to do mating. A lot of the system nowadays are collars, and there's another one as well, which is the cow's ear tags, which is like a Nate tag, but it actually can pick up on the cow's temperature, the cow's rumen, and that's another way that they can pick up on it as well. But a big one is the collars, and I mean, I'm all for the collars. It's really good. It saves you the time, it saves you a staff member, and you're not watching everything in the paddock all the time of cows bulling. But the one downside to that is if you're to leave a farm with the collars and you go to tail paint and K-Mars, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna find it really difficult to actually know the proper signs of cows cycling and what to look for. So that is why I think the old school system is the way to go, and to learn the old school system, because you will struggle, obviously. So yeah, they have the collars. My sister and brother-in-law, they use collars. They use collars for their cows, and they think it's the bee's knees, because on the old farm we used to use this tail paint and K-Mars. So they have it all in their system on a software where it'll tell them that their cows are on heat. Well, you guys probably know if you have collars. If they're on heat, or if they've gone off their milk, their rumination, and they can figure out certain signs that'll tell them that the cows have been on heat. So that's a huge bonus in itself to have that. So when the AI technician comes the first day, you would put your cows up, the ones that were on for that morning. In another video, I'll actually show you guys a chart that you have to fill out every day of the cows that have come on for that day, and you'll put a date beside them so you can actually keep a track of your cows that you have inseminated. Also, the AI technician will give you a book that you have to fill out of all the cows' numbers as well, of all the cows that have that are in a row that you are putting to a certain bull for that day. So they'll fill out their side, and then you'll fill out your side of all the numbers in line of how they're going to be inseminated. So you know each cow to what bull has gone to that cow. I can show you guys this in another video. I'll actually go into more detail and explain it better, and I'll actually show you how to fill it out as well, but I don't actually have that with me today. So you would get the cows inseminated, and you get them inseminated, and then we would normally change to a different color. So we started with red for the very, very start, like I mentioned, and then the cows would cycle, and we've gone to green. And after that first insemination, we would normally go to blue tail pain. And the good thing is with changing colors is you know, right, well that cow's had one insemination, and you know by that color. And then once that cow had already had one insemination, well, you know what's going to happen. You'll go to another color, which would be yellow or whatever color you're going with. So you can keep a track of when that cow had its first insemination. So cow's cycle period, or how often a cow actually cycles, is a cow will cycle 18 to 21 days, or it could be 19 to 21 days. That's what AI technicians have told me, and I thought it was always just 21 days, but the technician have learned, so they know themselves. So a cow's cycle will be 24 hours. So you have 24 hours to get that cow and calf. So that is the cycle rate of a cow. So yeah, you would do that. You normally aim, so your first lot of inseminate, so you're putting up your first lot of cows for insemination, and then a rule of thumb is you try and put up 90% of your cows in the first 3 weeks. You can't just focus on that number where you say I need to get 90%. You have to just go with it and put up the cows that are actually on, because you could be in your head and think, oh, I've got 87 to 88% of cows up, I've got to find those extra numbers, but you're actually putting up cows that are truly not on. And how I look at it, the cows will always come on and catch up the numbers, so you can't be reliant on that. That is just a rule of thumb, is you put up 90%, so don't try and put up more than you should be. So yes, you'll put up 90%, and normally 70% of your cows will hold in the first 3 weeks. Also, if they don't hold to 70% in the first 3 weeks, don't be looking for the cows. That's something you have to get off your mind, because that is the biggest thing with mating, is you thinking that since I haven't put up 70%, oh, there's something wrong, so I've got to find more cows. And when you get into your returns, you have to be very, very careful, because I truly do believe when you have put up your first cows and you have your returns, and it's a cow that's a return and she's truly actually not on, and you inseminate her, there is a likelihood that she does abort from that first calf that she's had by the technician playing around with things again. Or not just that, the cow still might be in calf even though she's been inseminated the second time and you're not sure about her properly. You will get your calving dates all mixed up and you'll have different bulls to that cow, and the first insemination was the true insemination. And the way that you know that, if your calving dates are mixed up, is you've put cows up that actually truly weren't on. So that's another thing as well that you'll just learn, and it just comes from experience as well. But you can ask your technician yourself, like, oh, is this cow on? Does she feel like she's on? And then they'll either say yes she is, or yes she isn't. But I think technicians as well, they've got to be careful as well that they don't. It's the farmer's choice at the end of the day to put up cows as well. So with your returns, you are just getting the ones which will be the 30% of cows that actually haven't held. So you got your returns, and returns, like I said, are very important. So you would have to put them up, but also you never want to inseminate a cow before the 3 days once she's been inseminated as well. Some people do that as well, and that's how the dates can get mixed up as well. Also, when you're getting your returns, you're getting numbers. It depends on your numbers. You can't focus on the numbers as well, because you've just got to follow your numbers that you got from your first 3 weeks. And if they were big numbers, you're gonna have you might actually have big numbers of returns as well. And then eventually, you see on the chart itself, you've got numbers, and it actually starts to recline down the page, and then you know yourself. And then even in your AI book as well, for the technician filling it out, the numbers, you will have the total numbers of cows that you have put up, and then you'll have the total numbers of returns that you're getting, and every day you're working out your totals and then your averages, and then you can work out, and you're like, oh right, so it's slowly starting to drop back. And with your returns, you will slowly start to see the numbers drop back. Normally the mating period is over. Normally for AI especially, it's 6 to 7 weeks of AI for the cows. It just depends on how many returns you're getting. Some farmers like to just do AI the whole way through, and they can predict what bull the cows are getting. It's normally for really high index herds or high performing cows that they want to stipulate what bulls they get. So also, let's go back to the cows that actually still haven't cycled. As you've tried everything with them, they haven't come on. Sometimes you've metricured them. A lot of issues can be down to the cow's age. She's far too old to get in calf. There's a problem there. The cow's had a really tough calving, and inside there's issues there with the reproductive system. Or there can be cysts on the ovaries. Cysts on the ovaries, what happens with those cows is they will continuously keep bulling all the time, even though you've inseminated them, they keep coming on. And one thing that the vets might do, or the AI technician will do, is they actually rub the cow's ovaries, and that actually can help as well to make the cows hold. So obviously it explains itself. Cysts on the ovaries will just be the cow will continuously cycle and won't actually get in calf. So what I just mentioned before, cows that haven't cycled and you're having issues with farmers, some of them will put seeders in their cows. I don't like that idea. I really don't like seeders. I think you're just putting a band-aid on a problem, which is just going to come back around the next year, and the cows you're just going to have the same issue with them again. We did use seeders. I think we used about 8 or 9 of them and put them in the cows. The way it works is you put a seeder in the cow, you put it in her cervix, and it's a hormone that will bring the cow on heat. Before you're about to 24 hours before you inseminate the cows or you put them up for AB, you will give the cows a PG, and that will bring them on to be mated for those 24 hours. The reason why I don't like seeders, like I mentioned, they they cover a problem where only, and the problem is, you can see with what I'm about to tell you, is only 50% of those cows will hold to AI using the seeders. Some farmers use quite a lot of seeders and they're just putting a band-aid on, and the cow will calve the next season and they're going to have the same problem with the cow. So I don't like the idea at all. I like to just do it naturally. What I would rather do is not get seeders in general. I would just leave those cows until the bulls have to get them. Either it could be they're having problems, or they've got problems internally, or it could have been they have had a silent heat. But I mean, the bulls are the best detectors of a cow actually being on heat, even though the cow itself doesn't actually know it's on heat. So yeah, you would do that. You would do your, like I said, you'd do your 3 weeks of mating, and then you'd be on to your returns. And a rule of thumb is, when you start to get down to numbers of 2 to 3 cows a day of returns per, let's say, 260 cows to 280 cows, that is the time that you need to be, that you can put the bulls out. You want to only have that number of cows coming on because you don't want to put too much strain on your bulls. If you put too much strain on your bulls, you're going to have lame bulls, and you only have a certain amount, and then they're not going to do their job. So you've got to take that into account. Plus, I mean, you want to catch as many cows as you can and put them and get them in calf. And I just remember with our pregnancy testing that the bulls actually got a lot of cows in calf. So you want to have the best bull power as you can. We used to use about 2 bulls per 260 to 280 cows. Sometimes 3 bulls. The better the bull power, it's the best you can do for the cows to get them in calf the best way. So yeah, you'd put the bulls out for 6 weeks, and normally every day you would put them out in the morning. They'd be in with the herd for 24 hours until the next day. Then you would start switching your bulls up. So you want to be switching them up all the time, so you give them a rest so they aren't shooting blanks, and plus you can stop lameness with your bulls as well. Plus, it's advised as well with your bulls, when you have them in the yard at the shed, that you can draft them out or not. If they're really good, if they're good behaved bulls, it's good if you can get the cows out of the paddock and then actually just move them straight into the paddock for the night. But if they come to the shed, it's not a big deal, because then they can actually get the cows in calf as well. But yeah, drafting them out so they don't have to walk all the way to the shed will stop lameness as well. So once you've done that, you've got your bulls out after they've been in with the cows for 6 weeks. You'll take the bulls out, and then it's the last step, which is just taking down the numbers of cows that are empty cows. So you would take down all your empty ones, the ones that are riding that haven't held when you think they have, and then by doing that, it's good because you know what your empty rate is going to be once it comes to pregnancy testing. I mean, because that's a pretty stressful time, and mating is the most important thing when it comes to the dairy farm, because it sets you up for your season. It sets up for how quick the cows will calf, and the quicker the cows actually calf, the quicker the cows will be into the shed to put the milk into the vat. Plus, if you have a higher empty rate as well, it becomes very costly because you don't have those cows in and getting into the vat, and then you've got empty cows that are just a dead loss. So it does become costly. Also, yeah, you also want to have a good technician, obviously, because if you have a bad technician, where I have heard of other farmers that have said that they were a bad technician and they were not putting the straws in the right place. So, and that was very costly for them as well. So yeah, mating is very important, and I mean, if you apply all of these steps that I've sort of said, you should have a good mating. But if it's a season of like how it has been this year, that doesn't always apply either. And with how farmers have been trying to get by this year, I mean, empty rates might be higher, so you can't always think that it's always going to work out. It's just farming, it's difficult, and things always will always catch you out when you think that they won't. So all you can do is do your very best, but try and apply everything that I've said in today's video. I thank you guys for tuning in again to my channel. This is Ex-Farmer. I'll put another video up in the next couple of days of actually going on about that chart, the mating chart, how to fill it out, and how to fill out the AB book as well. But I'll put that video up to sort of explain it a bit better. Thanks guys for tuning in, and I hope you have a good weekend. And just comment in the comment section. I can answer any of your questions, and please subscribe to the channel. It means a lot, and yeah, I just want to help out you guys. So have a good one, and yeah, sweet. It is.